All right, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today's episode, we are going to be installing a NSX-R sway bar. Here is the part number. Okay, here are the tools you'll need for a front sway bar install. Torque wrench range from, we're going to be going from 17 all the way up to 62. A ratchet, a 6mm Allen, possibly a crow's foot 17 for torquing. Various 17 sockets, 12, a 10 socket, and a 17mm open end and box end wrench. And you also may need a pass-through set. We're going to use the 17 pass-through. That's in case the stud spins on the end link. But that's the tools for today's video, so let's get started. But it's going to be super simple. Basically, you're going to remove the two 12mm bolts holding in the bushing and the 17mm bolt right here holding in the end link. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the 12mm bolts first. That'll drop it and allow us to maneuver the end link out once we remove the 17mm bolt, and then we'll disconnect the end link from the sway bar once it's off the car and transfer it to the new sway bar. So let's get to it. Okay, time to remove the 17mm bolt. And you'll notice that these end link studs have provision for an Allen head. So sometimes these studs will end up spinning because it's just a ball joint inside the bushing. So sometimes they'll end up spinning and you'll need to use like an open-ended wrench or a pass-through socket set and hold the inside with a Allen wrench in order to keep it from spinning while you're removing the nut. Okay, with the nut removed, you can just pull this out, bend this up, and then we're going to try to maneuver the sway bar out. The battery tray is in the way, so I'm going to try to get it out with the tray in, but I might not be able to. Alright guys, so here we are. I tried to remove the sway bar without removing this to try to make it as easy as possible for you guys and for myself, but that wasn't working out. So this is going to be easier for you guys, but for me, since I have my air cup compressor, I'm using my transmission jack to lower the entire battery and compressor and tank assembly at once so I can get the sway bar off. The sway bar, just because of the bends, it makes contact with these or the radiator hoses and you just couldn't get it out, even though I removed both end links completely. So this is the only way. See how low this piece this piece is already touching right here, and look at, we have like a 5-6 inch gap that's required. So now it's out. Okay, here is the stock sway bar versus the Type R sway bar, and here are the OEM bushings versus the new Japanese bushings. So you can see that, of course, the diameter for the bar, inner diameter is larger. Outer diameter is the same, so you can reuse your brackets. And funny enough, they mark on there 22.2, which is interesting. I've never seen that before, for OEM at least. So here's the part number that you need. You need 2 of those, of course. I did pre-measure. I'll measure on camera also. My caliper is not the most accurate. It's kind of a cheap caliper, but the Type R is about 22.3 or 4 ish, and the US is about 18.78 ish. So it's probably supposed to be 22.2 like the bushing says, but Again, my caliper is not the most accurate, so give or take a 4mm difference. I'm not sure about, you know, hollowness or thickness of the walls or anything like that, but again, the reason why I'm doing this upgrade is because I personally feel that the car handles fine the way it is with the upgraded rear sway bar, but a lot of people complain that the car is too oversteery. So I just went ahead. This sway bar was really cheap. It was pretty inexpensive, I think under $200. I just decided to go ahead and go with it since that seems to be consensus, and maybe I haven't driven my car hard enough to warrant an oversteer situation, but I've taken some turns and it seems pretty planted as is, but we'll see how it handles with that. I definitely don't mind a little understeery to neutral driving behavior, so we'll see how this behaves. You know, if I don't like it, I'll put in my stock front sway bar on. But we're gonna go ahead and transfer these bushings over and just throw the sway bar on. But we're gonna go ahead and transfer the bushings over to the brackets and then install the end links, and then we will reverse operation and install the sway bar. Cleaned off the threads here, as you can see. I do look like I need new end links soon, so I'll put that on the to-do list for the future. Okay, putting the end links on, you're going to put the nut on the inside, and the torque spec is going to be 62 foot-pounds. Okay, we got the sway bar assembled, and we're gonna go ahead and throw it in right now. Okay. Alright, I got the sway bar provisionally mounted in. So what I'm going to do right now is attach the brackets, and then I'll raise up the battery last. Okay, before you tighten on these brackets, you want to make sure the sway bar is centered. So if you look at those white markings, the sway bar is a little bit too much to the driver's side, so I'm going to adjust it until it's centered. Okay, so here are the nut and washer that we're going to install to the bottom of the end link that connects to the control arm. Okay, and before you put the sway bar in place, don't forget this washer that goes on this side of the control arm, the front side of the control arm. Okay, I'm going to torque this nut down to 62 foot-pounds, just like the upper part of the end link. Both are 62. All right, I had to use my pass-through socket set and ratchet just because the stud was spinning, like I said before. So it's always good to have the right tools. And I've used this. This has saved me quite a few times. So just a tip for you guys. Once you get it tightened down with the pass-through or however your method is, you should be able to torque it on without needing to hold it with the Allen wrench. The torque spec for the bracket is 17 foot-pounds. Okay, last step, if you're reinstalling this battery tray, these bolts, all 6 of them are 18 foot-pounds.